Hello everyone, welcome back to Back in Diapers. Um, we're going to kind of touch on a little bit of an old subject. I just kind of wanted to update a couple of my older videos, so I'm starting with this one. And I'm going to kind of talk about my family's reaction to my incontinence and how I told them and things like that. Just to kind of update, it's been years since I've done this, so and to let you all know how they're handling it now that it's been a long time. So, anyway, I'm going to try to get this all filmed now because it's quiet in my house. My bird is asleep. Hopefully, he stays that way. Anyway, so my family's reaction, it's a lot different than a lot of people's families' reactions because I had been sick for so long when the incontinence started that it was just kind of not a surprise. Um, so basically, my incontinence story goes back to 2005, and uh, really hit home at about 2011. I had been ill because I have a genetic disease that causes polyps in the colon. It is called FAP, or familial adenomatous polyposis. And I had had surgeries on my colon for that, and the first one went very badly. I ended up with a life-threatening infection, had to have another surgery, and all that stuff. In this process, actually, what started first was the bowel incontinence, and for a long time following my first couple of surgeries, because they had worked on the sphincter muscle a lot, it was very weak. So I would mess my pants fairly often in the night. I quickly realized, very quickly, that this was going to be a problem and did start purchasing diapers fairly quickly, because I was like, we were told that there may be some muscle weakness and such. So for the first 2 years, I had an ostomy. So the messes that I would have were not actually poop. It was just mucus and things like that. But because of the way it worked, my muscle was spasming. The sphincter muscle would spasm and push and expel this mucus, causing my bladder to release as well. So I'd wake up to not a very big mess, but enough that it was not comfortable and wet. Um, and so that would happen for a couple of years while I had the ostomy. Once I had the ostomy reversed, that's when the problems really hit. And I started noticing that every time I pooped, I peed, vice versa. And so at night was when I had the problems, or if I was really sick. So when you have your colon rerouted and everything, and intestines rerouted in general, your system takes a while to adjust to that and slow down. So every time they did surgery, my system would have to readjust to a new bowel, basically. So I was having messes and wetting almost nightly, for quite a while. Fast forward a few years, I had a few more surgeries, and I became bladder incontinent. And the way it worked was had my best friend over, went for a sleepover, and we were making lunch one day, and I just wet my pants without knowing I had to pee, without feeling that I was peeing. The only way I knew I was wet was that all of a sudden my pants got warm, and I was like, the fuck, and I felt it on my feet. That day, that happened 4 times. I peed my pants 4 times, and I'm like, okay, this is weird. I need to put a diaper on. And I did still have them on hand, even though I only used them at night for the most part. So I put a diaper on, and that is the last day I ever wore underwear. The incontinence just kept on progressing and progressing and progressing to the point of it. Well, I guess it didn't keep progressing, but I literally never felt my bladder after that. And that whole situation happened after one of my surgeries. So my my bladder nerves were damaged. They were dying. When my mom came home that night from whatever she was doing, I told her what happened. And it wasn't that odd of a thing. I just kind of was like, I'm wetting my pants throughout the day. Because she often asked, why are you wearing a diaper today? Because it was usually an indication of I'm sick, something like that. So she asked me, and I told her what happened. And, her reaction was not one of shame or anything like that. That's weird. And we didn't know that that was going to be my norm. But it became very normal, unfortunately. And my mom was fairly supportive of the whole thing. My family didn't really care. It was just another aspect of my issues. So they were semi supportive. My dad made jokes about it, which was his way of trying to understand it, I guess. I don't know. It was not the nicest jokes in the world. And we did pursue urology after about a year. We're like, okay, this isn't going away. You should probably pursue it. The first urologist I went to did a flow test, which is where they have you sit on the toilet till you pee, and they measure how fast it's coming out or in or whatever to see if it's too fast for your body to process with that muscle. They did a cystoscopy, which is a camera up your bladder. Not fun. They also did urodynamic testing, where they hook up a bunch of electrodes to your lower area. They put a catheter in your bladder for pumping in fluid, and they put a catheter up your bum to measure those muscles. And during that test, they pumped about half a liter of fluid into my bladder. And she's like, you should be feeling something by now. This is like most people feel it around 200. This is at 400. So she's like, I really don't want to keep going much longer with this. We'll give it another 100 and see how it goes. But at this point, there was no activity whatsoever on the bladder muscles, nothing. And then when I did suddenly go, I feel like I need to pee, as I was saying those words, poof, out it came. And the nurse, her jaw just dropped, because basically the way they're measuring the nerves is it was a flat line, and then it peaks when your bladder contracts. But my bladder never contracted until I peed. So she was like, you have no nerves, no nerve function in your bladder. And the urologist at that point, the one who ordered the test, brought us into the office and said to us, I don't think this is real. You're faking it, or you just need to time yourself to go to the bathroom. Guys, we had tried time voiding for a really long time, and it just never worked. I would sit there for forever on the toilet waiting to pee, and it just never worked. And then I'd be like, okay, I'm done. I'd get up, and 10 minutes later, I'd pee. Yes, I could just sit there for another 10 minutes, but my life was ruled by timing my bathroom stops, and I was done with that. I'm like, no. And after that test, I believed the nurse, and she was like, yeah, you have no nerve function. Because that doctor basically lied, my mom was livid. This is where the support from my mother really shows, because she was like, I can't believe she just said that. She's like, we watched that test. We saw that test. We watched your nerve not do anything until you peed. And she's like, I can't believe this. So we ended up going to a different urologist. And he saw the tests, and he's like, yes, you have zero nerve function. You're not going to feel it. He's like, my thing is, we've got to make sure your bladder's emptying all the way when it empties, so you're not retaining urine and getting infections. And my mom was so happy with this doctor, and she was just thankful that he listened to us, because she's like, my daughter's been dealing with this for over a year now, and the doctor, she really kicked into gear with that, and is like, she's not lying, she's not faking this. I've watched her wet her pants before after getting off the toilet. 10 minutes later, she wet her pants. She's like, I've seen this happen. I know she's not faking. And that's when, my mom became the one she would help me buy the diapers and everything, because she knew this was going to be a lifelong issue. And at this point, my parents still fully supported me, even though I was about 20 years old. I was not able to work much at all during this time, mind you. So my parents were my support, and my mom would, help me with the diapers and everything. Thankfully, at this point, I did also have disability. So once we had the diagnosis for incontinence, the very next appointment, when my mom went with me, we had him write a script. And well, we sent a script over to him from HDIS, which used to be like the go-to company for this. I don't know if they still are, but that's when we got insurance to cover some diapers. But they covered crap diapers. I'm telling you guys, they were horrible. Um, and I was on Medicaid at the time, and they covered these crappy acetens diapers. But that was my mother showed her support through, helping me out. She did change my diaper a couple of times, but she was not involved in it as much unless I was really needing it. Um, and this is where I kind of come into how my sisters reacted to it. At this point, I was 20. My younger sister had just turned, or I was 21, I'm sorry. 21 at this point. My other sister had just turned 18. And then the other one was younger, 3 years younger than her, or 2 years younger than her, sorry. My younger sister ended up fairly quickly at that point from when I was diagnosed, she ended up moving out. Um, she moved over to Michigan with my sister and all that stuff. So my younger sister and I were the ones at home. And her and I had, after my other sister moved out, her and I became even more close. We were already really close, but we became very close. And she was amazing when it comes to handling my incontinence. Like, she was so supportive and so wonderful. Oftentimes, at this point, I was in a hospital bed. I stayed in my room a lot of the time, and she would just barge in the room, and I'd be in my shirt and diaper or whatever, and she'd just hop on the bed and sit with me. And she gave no shits, not one bit. It was just, I was her sister. She didn't care. So even to this day, she's a very supportive person of me in general. With the ABDL stuff, she has been really good. We don't talk a ton about it. Like, her and I don't discuss it much, but she has, at one point when I broke up with my ex and we had gone to Connecticut to get my stuff, and she and I took that trip together, she asked a lot of questions about it so that she understood it, and she's fine with it. Now, fast forward, I've been technically incontinent since, like, full-blown incontinent since 2011. I believe it was April 4th of 2011 was the last day I wore underwear. So we're in this over 10 years now. I've been incontinent on and off for over 10 years. And so today, it's just normal. If I mess my pants or anything, it's just normal. It happens. I go change. My family is very good about it. They have always been so supportive of my health issues and supporting me through that. On the ABDL side of life, my mother is currently very supportive of it, and actually every now and then talks about it with me. Sorry, my nose is driving me crazy today, guys. And because it kind of coincides with a lot of the other medical stuff I have, as a coping mechanism, she is totally okay with it. I can talk to my mother about anything going on health-wise, mental health-wise. Like, my mom and I talk about every single thing. And I always feel bad because a lot of people don't have that support system like I do. My mother and I are just so close, and I feel really bad sometimes when people don't have that, or they fear telling their family about it. And if you guys have stuck in this video to this point, I did not plan on it being this long, but oh well. You know, it is a hard thing to know how they're going to react. I had the benefit of, I was sick for many years, and this was just kind of the last nail in the coffin at that point. So my family was like, okay, we deal with this now. But I know a lot of people don't have that, and a lot of people can't go to their family and tell them that they're incontinent and get support. If you are just starting out with incontinence issues, guys, I highly recommend you go to the doctor and get testing done. Find a urologist that fits well with you and get the test done to find out what is wrong, because sometimes Incontinence can be caused by urine retention or bladder infections or like ulcers or lacerations or something in the, or lesions, not lacerations, lesions in the bladder. So definitely, if you are new and having incontinence stuff go on, please get it checked out. Um, One of those reasons is even though we found out that my nerves don't function, we also found out that I was retaining urine and I was having constant bladder infections, but I didn't feel them. So I went on an antibiotic to clear up the infection and a medication that caused the bladder neck to open and relax so that everything would come out. So it's really important. I have not had to take that medication in, God, 6 years now, 7 years, because we finally got at the point where my bladder just does this thing. I haven't been suffering from infections, and I've had fairly frequent urine tests because of when I go into the ER for other stuff, they always do a urine test. So we know that I'm not dealing with infections anymore. So that med kind of helped my bladder get into a better habit of draining all the pee. So definitely go to the doctor, get it checked out. And I will do another video at some point about what to do if you if you are just starting out with incontinence issues and how to go about it. Diapers are not for everyone. That's fine. I chose diapers because I cannot catheterize due to muscle spasms and things like that. It causes a lot of pain. So I can't do self-cath. I can't do intermittent or fully. I cannot do that. But diapers were the option. Time voiding was not my option. Things like that were not my option. Diapers had to be my option. So that's where I am at this point. And the journey is different for everybody. So don't think just because one thing works for somebody else, it's going to work for other people. And even in the diaper world, it varies what other people need. And I will be doing a video on that soon. But that's kind of how my family has reacted to this whole thing. They're very supportive at this time. And it's just a part of life for me. And so I am so thankful for the family I do have. My mom and my sister especially. I don't talk to all of my family, but my mom and my sister are extremely supportive of me, and I love them for it. Guys, don't be discouraged. If your family doesn't react well, give them some time. They'll come around eventually. And some families come around once they see tests from the doctor saying things are not working right. So don't be discouraged. We are all here to support each other and to bring the community together and build a strong bond. So that's kind of my story, guys. That's why I started this channel, and there we go. It's been a long journey. I started YouTube back in 2013 or 14, and I'm still going to this day. I know I've been doing a lot of live streams lately, but I wanted to get back to the root a little bit and do some videos for you guys. I've got a review coming up very soon, and you guys will see that here in the next few days. But I want to thank you all so much for your support and your love for me, and I really appreciate every single one of you. And we'll get through this, guys. So until next time, I will see you all later. Bye-bye.